Howdy, Desert Boy here. And I said I was going to do a video on small handguns, and I think you've seen the preliminary pictures there in the intro. And there's 9 different ones I have here. Now, I'm not going to include Derringers and things like that because those are kind of a specific class of gun, and I'm tending to think more of ones that you would use more perhaps in most circumstances for personal defense. And we can discuss those at a later time. But anyway, so you can see there's a variety of styles and shapes and sizes. And this is not, I see that there may not be any Glocks here, but, you could also include things like, Glock 26, Glock 43, 43X, stuff like that. So I know some people may see that. I'm just showing you I'm sharing with you what works for me, and you need to talk to your own experts. And I'm going to talk about them kind of from a general perspective of why I have the different ones and what they do for me. This may end up being a couple of videos because this is a lot of material to cover. So also you need to make sure always that you're in compliance with all your local, state, and federal firearms laws, ordinances, rules, whatever, permitting, your concealed carry permitting, and all that. Certainly these ones here, because they're smaller size, many people probably would find them useful for carry, provided they're in compliance with whatever their laws and rules are, training and so forth. So all these guns are different. You should always make sure you get good training on how they operate, because they can all be different in different ways, and we'll talk about that here as we go forward. So anyway, with that in mind, if you look at this, if you saw the preliminary, you'll see there's 3 revolvers that are, and that are 38 or 357. There's actually 3 guns that are one's a revolver and 2 are semi-autos that are 9mm. And then you have ones that are kind of unusual calibers, or like the 32 Smith & Wesson Long, or maybe an alternative. Some people might consider an alternative, the 22 Magnum or the 380 ACP. So it's kind of a real variety in that way. So at this point, let's take a look at them again real quick, and we'll go on from there. So looking at this variety, undoubtedly this is probably this one here, the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus. This is a Ruger LCRX 9. This is a P365 and 380. This is a Sig Sauer P938 Legion and 9mm. This is a Colt Detective Special and 38 Special. This is a Ruger LCR in 357. This is a H&R, Harrington and Richardson, in 32 Smith & Wesson Long. This is a Smith & Wesson 351 PD in 22 Magnum. And this is a Smith & Wesson 637 Performance Center Enhanced Action in 38 caliber. So just to give you an idea of the different calibers and potential uses. This one is most likely the largest of the guns, although it's not necessarily the heaviest. It's 17 ounces. So all these ones that are along here that are like this one, this one, this one, this one, are all about 17 ounces. This one's 15, this one's 21, this one up here is 14.6, this one's 11.3, and this one's probably over 25 ounces, even though it probably has the potentially weakest, well, not the weakest cartridge, maybe in center fire it is. And of course we have the 22 Magnum. So what about capacities? Let's talk about capacities. Well, with J-frames, a lot of times you're only going to get 5, right? So that's 5, right? And this LCR is 5, right? Because these are more like your stub nose concealable guns that you would have. And this Ruger LCRX in 9 is 5, okay? The Colt Detective Special has 6. The Smith & Wesson 351 PD has 7. And this Harrington has 6. The Sig Sauer P365 has 7 rounds, and the P365 380 has 10-round magazines that I have for it. There's probably larger ones now. And the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, I have 10 and 13-round magazines that probably do go bigger. I can assure you all these guns have been safety checked, and when we look at each one, we'll double check that. But just wanted to go over that with you, kind of give you an idea of kind of the capacity, as we have talked about it, and the weight, right? And of course, the advantages of a lot of these is some people would say revolvers are simpler to operate. Some people prefer striker-fired guns. This is a hammer-fired, even though the hammer is concealed. These are hammer-fired, of course. This is has a single action only, 1911 style type action with a manual safety. This one has a manual safety, but can also be, it's a striker fired, can have without a safety. It's like this one here has no safety, and this one here, of course, is a hammer fired. So it's a variety of different types of weapons and trigger pulls and so forth. So in part 2, we'll cover more specifics, by caliber, about the guns.